everyone, welcome back. If you have been tuning in to this Dear Diary series, as I've been calling it, then you know that I'm sharing with you each day what's coming up for me. And at the point of me starting this series was to give you a glimpse into the ups and downs that we ride on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis. And so my hope is that by showing up with you every day, I can give you a more realistic example of what people are moving through, because sometimes in the online space we forget that the people on the other side of the camera are humans too. And yes, they may be showing up with a message or a beautiful image, but oftentimes there's a whole other side of that, a whole other side of the coin, if you will, that they may have been moving through maybe even just hours before they hit record or a day before. And that sometimes gets lost in translation, not on purpose, but just because it feels harder to show up when we're in the muck, if you will. And so by pushing myself out of my comfort zone to show up every day for 30 days, I knew that there would be moments of highs and lows across those 30 days. And that is basically the point of this series, to not only share my wisdom, my intuition, my experience with you, but to also give you a more realistic example of the human experience. And that definitely was true last night. Last night, I was on my phone doing a little bit of scrolling, ended up feeling like my energy was zapped, which I think all of us have been there, when you just don't feel like you have the energy to do something else. So instead, you just continue to mindlessly scroll. And after about an hour or so of that, I just felt like I was about to burst. And so I decided to journal on it and ask myself what I was feeling. And so this was a good first step, and I'm proud of myself for taking this step to actually tune into what I was feeling. And as I began journaling, I was shocked at how much I was feeling. I was feeling angry, sad, emotional, upset with myself, disappointed. I was judging myself. So many things were coming up, and it wasn't stemming from one particular thing, but more of an overarching feeling of being dissatisfied with my reality and just where I'm at right now. And it's not to say that I don't love my life and that I don't have good things happening in life. I do. But there was this overwhelming sensation of overwhelm, and I decided to sit with that, and I did some journaling, and then I ended up having to get up and physically move my body, and I intuitively began to shake it out, to just like jump, shake, twist, make all of these big exaggerated movements that my body intuitively knew would feel good and would help me to release that energy. And I did that for a while, and honestly, before I did that, I even started to cry just while I was journaling, because I was really going into the feeling. And I think sometimes when it feels like a lot, we want to run from that, and it feels easier to run from it, to just avoid it, distract, bring up a new feeling in our bodies by tuning into something else or someone else. And instead of doing that, I really invited myself to sit in it. And as I sat in it and as I journaled and just let myself write crazy, I mean, write outside the lines, take up space in my journal, scribble, just make uncharacteristic marks all over the page, allowing that energy to just be expressed. And it was like statements or words and feelings. And I was just basically talking to myself, allowing myself to get the internal dialogue down on the page. And by doing that, it did bring tears to the surface. And I began to cry. And as I began to cry, again, I invited myself to sink in deeper, to really feel the feelings that were bringing about this emotion instead of running from it. And as I did that, that's when I was feeling the urge, like I needed to get up and move. And so then I began shaking and jumping and moving the energy through my body with my physical movement. And in doing that, I actually ended up in the bathroom in front of the mirror, and I had the lights off, but I was just jumping, twirling, crying, shaking, and I began having external dialogue with myself in the mirror. And I think that this really helped to just verbalize how I was feeling and to also see myself in that exchange, because there was these two parts of me, one part that really felt it, and then another part that was the wise part that was actually holding me, and my arms ended up like this around my body. And I let myself really just say how I felt. I let myself use the harsh words. I let myself cry, ugly cry, and feel like there was no way out. But in that total surrender and allowing myself to go there, to go deep into the feeling and to really allow it to be as dark as it needed to be, I actually began to feel a little bit of release. And with that release, I felt the tender, wise part of myself holding me and reminding me that it was okay and that it was great that I was feeling it, because I do believe that one of the biggest sabotaging things that we can do for ourselves is to avoid the feelings. And so that whole experience probably lasted maybe 35 minutes, from the journaling to the shaking to the crying to the external conversation in the mirror. And by the end, I felt lighter, I felt more free, and it didn't necessarily change anything. Like, nothing in my life circumstances actually changed within those 35 minutes. The only thing that changed was the feeling and the energy and the emotion that needed to move through my body. And so my message today to you and to myself is to remember that it's okay to feel, to allow yourself to express, allow yourself to emote, whether that's making moaning noises, screaming, crying, growling, whatever it is. Don't judge yourself. And I did notice that my body intuitively wanted to do some of these things, but I was judging it and I was holding it back a little bit. So then I had to encourage myself to let it out and invite myself deeper into the sensation. And each time I invited myself deeper and let more of it out, the more that released. And then I was able to feel that lightness. I was able to feel that expansion by the time that it had fully moved through. So even just in that 35 minutes, I went on a roller coaster. And by the time I woke up this morning, I was feeling a lot lighter and just a lot more optimistic about life. So I hope that wherever you are, whatever you're feeling, whatever you're moving through, that this message can invite you to allow yourself to feel and to tenderly hold yourself through all of the emotions and energy that you may be moving through. I look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow.